5 home runs this season, tied for 6th most in Major League Baseball, and now the most by any player on New York's roster. Gallo should be a big boost for the Yankees' left-handed bats as they combine to hit 197 this season. It's the worst of any team in the majors, and they have just a total of 22 home runs. To the Olympics, American Caleb Dressel captured the first individual Olympic gold medal of his career, winning the 100-meter freestyle over defending champion Kyle Chambers of Australia. Dressel's winning time was an Olympic record of 47.02 seconds, a mere 0.06 of a second ahead of Chalmers, who earned a silver medal. It was the USA's 13th gold medal so far of the Games, tied with Japan for the second most behind China's 14. And finally, we head to the hardwood where the NBA draft is happening tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Former Oklahoma State star Cade Cunningham is still expected to be the first overall pick to go to the Detroit Pistons.
Just say it again.
In tonight's NBA draft. But Jalen Green, Evan Mobley, they still might have something to say about that. Wait a second, Bart. Hold on.
No.
In addition to the selections, the intrigue will be centered around trades. For the first time ever, the NBA draft is on ABC, ESPN, and ESPN Radio. Coverage begins on ESPN Radio at 7 p.m. Eastern. And SportsCenter is brought to you by Barbazol. Feeling great starts with a great shave, and great shaves start with Barbazol Shaving Cream. That's Barbazol Shaving Cream, an American classic for over 100 years. You're looking good, America. You're shaving with Barbazol.
I thought he was a working-class hero, and I wanted to sit there and applaud.
I wanted to help the organization, maybe learn from them some of the mistakes in the past, in my opinion, about the way that some of the outgoing veterans were treated.
Aaron Rodgers blowing up the NFL yesterday, and in his wake, leaving us, 35 minutes of great material.
Hot fire.
Oh, man, on everything from how the organization has treated him, how they've treated former players, how they don't give him a seat at the table. We got so much to get into with Aaron Rodgers. Here we are on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin, Bart, Scott, Sam Acho here with me. I'm Ryan Smith.
We look like a singing group, man. Like,
yeah,
you look
man.
like the leader. Like, you would be Ralph Tresvant.
Oh, I like it.
We got Johnny Gill back here. And I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I'm Michael Bivins on here, man. Because I'm surprised, man. This is conservative for you, man.
What do you mean?
You usually at least a 3-button minimum, man. I'm usually can see your nipples almost by now, man. What's going on?
He's talking about the sternum line. He's talking about there's nothing wrong with showing some sternum. There's nothing wrong with that.
I tell you what, Aaron had me all the way up into Randall Cobb. Like, were we waiting just for – was Randall Cobb – see, like, he talked about all the players he lost and how he wants input on everything, but he lost me at Randall Cobb. I understand, like, we're not in a hot tub time machine. We're not talking about Randall Cobb from 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. I understand that's my boy, Blue. But, man, I think if they really wanted to make a splash, if they wanted to improve this football team, if I was Aaron trying to play general manager, man, Odell Beckham, you don't think Odell Beckham is available? I guarantee you Odell Beckham is available. The only reason Odell Beckham is on that roster is because he had an injury, and you can't cut somebody with an injury. I mean, I think it's perfect, right? This would have been the perfect deal. If I was Aaron, I would say, okay, 1-for-1 trade. Preston Smith for Odell Beckham straight up, right? Because we know that you cannot depend on Jadeveon Clowney. You're going to need 2 pass rushers to try and corral, Mahomes. You're going to need Josh Allen, Lamar, Action Jackson. You're going to need 2. You can't depend on a guy that had microfracture surgery, a guy that can't really complete a season. You get a guy like Preston Smith in there because Rashawn Gary is ready to take the next step. So it's not that Green Bay really needs pass rushers. What they need is the ability to be able to have somebody opposite Devontae Adams to be able to dictate coverage and also to be able to, get that yak yardage. So I thought if I was Aaron, I would have went for Odell Beckham, not Randall Cobb.
Here's the thing, though. Maybe he's just getting started. See, that's the thing. We talk about this. By the way, Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin presented by Progressive Insurance. All guests join us on the Goodyear Hotline. And here's the thing. He wanted a seat at the table, right? He said he wanted that from the organization. It just feels like it wasn't about the money for him. It was about having a voice. He wanted more input on the head coach, on free agency. Yeah. Look, he even talked about how Matt LaFleur was brought in and he didn't even have input on it. But having the players in there, like you talk about, was the big deal for him. Take a listen to what he said about having a voice in free agency.
The other part in February was wanting to be a part of conversations involving free agents. which has never happened in my career. I've trained with a number of NFL guys most of my career in the off seasons. My agency, Athletes First, has had a number of high draft picks over the years. I've tried to pass along information. Hasn't really been used, shall we say. So I wanted to offer my services as a recruiter, and I think we can all understand, Green Bay isn't, a huge vacation destination. People are coming here to play with me, to play with our team, and knowing that they can win a championship here. And the fact that I haven't been used in those discussions was one I wanted to change moving forward.
There is so much good stuff that stands out in there, but I want to mention two things that stand out to me more than anything, Sam Acho. First, Green Bay is not exactly a free agent destination. People come there to play with me. With me. How bold is that for him to say that? Almost with humility, but with truth. And the other part is, Sam, I wanted input on free agency. This has never happened in my career. What did that say to you?
Well, two things, because you said something
He's
earlier.
an MVP, and it never happened in his career.
You said something earlier, Ryan. You said that Aaron Rodgers wanted a seat at the table.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers didn't want a seat at the table. Aaron Rodgers wanted the entire table, the chairs, the ballroom.
Really?
This dude wanted what did he get? Look what he got. He's getting more than just a seat at the table. We're talking about Randall Cobb. It's not about Odell Beckham or any player in the world. He wants his homies. He wants his friends, the guys he's played with, the guys in his mind that he trusts, right? And so you go down like he wanted Randall Cobb because that's the guy who he's played with, who he trusts, who knows the system, et cetera, et cetera. He wanted also to be involved with the free agent acquisitions like we just heard. He said, hey, Green Bay, it's not – and Green Bay isn't it's not a place that people
I
would
go
love
there all
to
the
come.
time. What the hell are you talking
Yeah,
about?
you go there to hang out?
When, in the summer?
I want the cheese curds.
Okay, yeah. I respect it.
Okay.
But also So he didn't want input, right? He wanted to see the table. No, he wants the whole table. He didn't want input. He really wants to be the GM. Like, he really wants to have all that decision-making power. You say, am I shocked or surprised that he hasn't had all this input? No, I'm not surprised. Just think about it. Let's say you're a head coach. You're a general manager. Mm-hmm. You're an owner. You're interviewing different candidates to be for the new head coach. So you're just an owner, GM, interviewing new candidates. You have a couple people you have on the list. Let's say there's somebody you really, really like. And you say, man, I love this guy, everything about him and his history, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You go to Aaron Rodgers. Hey, what do you think about this coach? What if he says no? Then what do you do? But you believe that this coach is the best coach for your organization, not just for this year or next year or the next 5 years, for the next 10, 15 or so years. Matt LaFleur specifically, in conjunction with Aaron Rodgers, has taken them to back-to-back NFC championship games.
Did he really, has he really done that?
The coach before? What was the coach before doing?
But it was
what was Mike McCarthy doing?
It was a ready-made roster, right?
Absolutely.
You talk about what they went out and spent out in free agency. They've never done that.
Absolutely.
Going against Zadarius Preston.
Zadarius Smith, Preston Smith, drafting Rashawn Gary.
He doesn't respect LaFleur.
Right. And I'm not saying he should, but what I'm saying is, like, that just puts a major wrench. If you want your GM or your owner to every decision.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know if he's saying that. Is he really saying, I want to be consulted? I want to have approval over every decision? What I think he's doing here, and let me just push back on that, is there room to believe that what he's doing here is just asking for input? And not only that, had they given him input when he started winning MVPs, maybe the conversation wouldn't be so much like, Aaron, what do you think about this? And then he says no, and you got to deal with that blowback. It seems like one of the things he's talking about is the fact that they've never come to him. He's looking around the league. He's seeing everybody else being consulted. He's seeing Tom Brady go to Tampa and basically make moves and make this and have input. And he's saying to himself, why can't I have that? And I wonder if that has turned him in some ways against this. Well, it seems like it has turned him against this management.
Well, if you're as great as Aaron Rodgers is, you want your football acumen to be valued, right? You understand, right? I know what system best works for me. And if it's all about maximizing my greatness, I want to be able to tell you the type of player that I need, right? But everybody wants to be Tom Brady, right? And I have a big problem with everybody saying, hey, I should get the Tom Brady treatment, because Tom Brady does something that no other superstar does. He leaves money for the organization to go out and get those. So when I say I want Antonio Brown, you damn well better give Tom Brady Antonio Brown. When I want Gronkowski, you damn right better give him Gronkowski, because guess what? He's only taking $25 million. You know, you look at what Dak, he's leaving $15 million. I think that's what Tom Brady's frustration was with the Patriots. He's like, man, I'm giving you money back and not taking top of the market, which I deserve because I'm the GOAT. And this is what you bringing me? N'Keal Harry? Really? This is what you spending my money on? So everybody that says, hey, man, players should be empowered, right? We hear Russell Wilson talking about, oh, he wants to, have opinions and be able to pick some of his players. That's fine. But you better be willing to leave some money on the table like Tom Brady does if you want to operate like Tom Brady.
So then if he
operates.
leaves some money on the table, he should have the same input, or at least close
He
to
should
the same
have more.
input?
You should have more.
So you're saying it's about the money more than anything?
Well, what I'm saying is everybody, that's just a false narrative that irritates me, right? Everybody's saying, look what Tom Brady did. Tom Brady goes there and he's never the highest paid player at the position, which allows flexibility. So when I say I want something and I know that I left room for me to get what I need to be successful, right? And I mean, because you say, well, Brady, you already got OJ the Juice Man, you got Cameron Brate. Why do you need Gronkowski? Because I want him, right? And you can't tell him no because he left money to go buy him, right? So essentially, I'm spending my money. Tom Brady's spending his money on those players. But when you look at a guy like Aaron Rodgers, he's always at the top of the market. He doesn't get the opportunity or doesn't deserve the right to say go get this player if things are tight.
It's interesting, the difference between – what do you think is the difference between Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady?
Well, yeah, and even just to push back on that notion a little bit, because, Bart, I feel you.